welcome to the next edition of the GTI Video Views. This turns out to be quite an interesting little series and quite informative as far as we're concerned. Last time we spoke about the 4 Ps in the tool-making industry, but today we want to talk about the importance and the need for data and industry information. Why is it so important? I mean, information is information. Why the need for industry information?
Okay, Neil, first, thanks for having me here again. I think that is an extremely important topic that you have addressed and extremely relevant to where GTI is currently in its support for the TDM industry in Gauteng. First, I need to make a statement, and the statement is that if we look at what is happening in the automotive industry, the launching of new products in Gauteng, 3 major OEMs in Gauteng, and we look at the publications put out by NACAM, that's the component manufacturers. It says there that there were key proposals made in terms of revitalizing the manufacturing industry going forward. And one of these proposals, and I'm going to read it verbatim, lastly, Cabinet has mandated an approach to the National Treasury for higher investment support for tooling as a means of encouraging further component localization. Overall national budget constraints are noted in this context. The situation is that if we, as an industry, with the correct information, can approach the Cabinet and say, if this support is given, whatever the amount of the support is, we can then calculate how much VAT is it going to generate. We can calculate what will be the tax on the companies, and we will able to calculate what is the personal income tax that will be paid if there is a significant change in the amount of tooling that's bought in South Africa. So therefore, to be able to state your claim and to be able to get support, this has to be translated into hard numbers.
And Maya, that's an extremely interesting perspective, because very often people think when you go and ask for protection or assistance from government, all you do is asking for money from the government. But if that money translates into an increased production volumes, government is getting a very good return on their investment, but they then act as the grease to actually get this ball rolling. But NACAM information is hugely important, and you wanted to illustrate the information that they have.
Yes, so let me just grant me the opportunity. The first thing I just want to share with you is that the NACAM members' annual sales for 2014 was estimated at 52 billion rands. And that was a 4% increase on 2014. So they are talking about a big number in the economy. And remember, that is the component manufacturing, NACAM. That is not the turnover of the OEMs, which also add a lot of more value before they either sell it in South Africa or export it. But NACAM does not only know what the turnover is, they also know what their employment is. And employment, and that is creating a better future for everybody in South Africa, has to do with the number of employees that we have. The employees are paying tax, they are not getting grants, they are part of the economy. Each employee is supporting anywhere between 3 to 6 other people in the population. So let me just share with you. NACAM members themselves had 48,200 employees in 2014. The tire manufacturers, which are associated with Narcan, had 5,600 employees. The catalytic converter industry had 3,800 employees, and not affiliated but primarily tier 2 and 3 automotive suppliers, and this is now based on an estimate,
Okay.
because they don't belong to an association, has got 24,500 employees. Now the question now is, for us, for the TDM industry, with GTI's assistance, to put forward a case, a scientific case for protection and support, we need to know, the decision makers need to know, what is the turnover of the South African tool makers for the automotive industry. They also need to know how many individuals are employed in the TDM industry, and we can then and will then also approach the tier 1s, those are the OEMs and others, to find out what was their total spend on tooling.
Okay.
Because we know that there is a ratio between the turnover of a tool company and the number of employees. We know what that ratio is approximately. So therefore, if we know how much the OEM spend on tooling, we know theoretically how many job opportunities does this create.
Okay. It stands to reason, if you want to make out a case for support, protection or otherwise, unless you can define and quantify the nature of the size of the problem or this thing that you want to protect or support, you need to be able to say this thing is so big and so big. What information does GTI have at the moment?
GTI, for that matter, the industry has at this point in time only have anecdotal information. In other words, we have not been able to drill down to the core data, in the number of companies, the employment in the companies. We have been unsuccessful, and I must also say we have not really targeted that, the gathering of data in a scientific way before. However, at this point in time, it is really necessary to have that data to create the necessary communication with the decision makers to get protection, some form of protection or support into place for the TDM industry.
Yeah, it's quite clear that, unless you have the power of that information, you can't really quantify the problem, first of all, nor can you really motivate for any support of any real significance unless you know exactly what the problem is. How do you propose, or what can industry members do to share that information? How do you get GTI to the industry?
Okay, GTI is, as we said, it supports the industry. It's not the industry, it supports the industry. So on our website, we are going to have a portion of the portal dedicated to gathering that sort of information. That means we will encourage the industry members, whether they are TASA members or just associated with the TDM industry in general. We will encourage them to register and to supply us information regarding turnovers. Is very important, and then the number of employees that they have. Now, we will give the undertaking, and I'm giving the undertaking, that information will not be disseminated to any third party. So the members or the TDM sector can be assured that information will only be used to their advantage. Yeah. And
So
that's
in consolidated forms, it will not be published. Confidentiality in all instances will be of prime importance. But the point that you're making is the fact that GTI needs that information to enable it to act on behalf of the industry.
You are absolutely correct. But I must correct you. We will publish the information in a consolidated format.
Okay.
If we can say the TDM sector is worth 500 million and we know who the companies are, we have 50 or 100 or 200 companies on the database, and we know how many employees are there, that information, consolidated information, is quite sufficient to make a business case for protection and for support in the province, and then also at the national level.
Okay, so the need for data, for industry data, cannot be overemphasized. It is extremely important to strengthen the hand of GTI on behalf of the industry. And the place where the first port of call would be www.gtiweb.co.za, which is the GTI website address.
Yeah, we will create the portal on that website, and we will encourage individuals to register there. But that's not the only thing we will do. Is we will also in the future be approaching the industry
on a personal basis,
on an individual basis, and ask them to share that information with us. Because one of the quips that I heard some time ago was that without data, whatever you're saying is just the opinion of another uninformed person.
Right.
So we need the hard data.
Henk, thank you very much for talking to us, and looking forward to the next episode of GTI Video Views.
Thank you very much for having me here, and the message remains that we are going to request, and we would really appreciate cooperation in getting hard data on the industry in Gauteng.
Thank you.